Becky Legero for CoinGeek.com with Richard Baker, the CEO of Tokenovate. Took us a while to finally connect, Richard.
Oh, I know, it's been mad today. Good to see you, Becky. How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really
surviving?
good. I am. Barely. But it's awesome to finally have you. You've been very popular with interviews and people talking to you, people at your booth. Tell me about your experience at the London Blockchain Conference, at the Tokenovate booth, and also on stage.
Oh, it's been really fantastic. It's such a professional enterprise conference. Volume of people has been amazing. It's really nicely branded, I think. The London Blockchain Conference was a smart move. There's a lot of people here who come to really just talk agnostically about blockchain. The whole team's been here. The stand's been amazing. And we came really to announce on Wednesday through press release and through the panel I was doing on Wednesday that not only the platform launched, but we just traded the first financial derivatives in the voluntary carbon market on the Bitcoin protocol, on the BSV network. Really amazing achievement. This was a world first, Becky. And so the voluntary carbon market for the listeners, well, it's the journey to net zero for all of us as citizens. And it's about how the world has to decarbonize, and financial instruments help corporations invest in projects to ultimately reduce carbon footprint for many corporations around the world. And they use derivative products to ultimately help them with the forward risk. Bit complicated, but the task was, how could we build that platform and bring it on to the Bitcoin scripting language and use the BSV chain to undertake calculations in financial services? So just been a really mad year, but really successful.
I love that. I'm not going to lie. I had to read the press release a couple times. I'm like, wait a second. Let me wrap my head around this. But very, very cool. And I do believe you're working with someone who's quite famous in the financial market. Scott OMalley, I believe his name is. Tell me about this individual and why it's so incredibly important to be working with someone like this.
Yeah, Scott is just astonishing. He is the Chief Executive Officer for ISDA. ISDA is the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. ISDA works globally with all of the financial and commodities regulators, so people like the SEC and the CFTC. Scott's been in that role quite a few years, but he has led effectively the digitization of what is the largest master legal contract that is used by all instruments worldwide. Yeah. So if you're trading fixed income, if you're trading interest rates, if you're trading commodities, the vast majority of the world use ISDA master agreements to legally underpin those products. Yeah, and Scott's charismatic. He's a former CFTC commissioner and just really very progressive. And so it's been amazing that he's laid down with his team a standards library that actually made it a little bit more easier for us to come in and start to look at digitizing the workflow, the life cycle of a derivative trade. And really without that work that they did, it would be almost impossible to digitize that legal contract. So charismatic chap, really love him and his team, and they're hugely supportive, and I was delighted that he came and sat on the panel here this week.
We love charismatic people.
Yes,
and I think that a lot of people know that there are some negativities that surround the blockchain space, unfortunately, because of what's happened in the crypto world and the BTC world. What kind of difficulty did you have talking with people of this caliber like Scott, talking to them about blockchain tech?
We've been transparent about we're on the original Bitcoin protocol. We're there for very, very good reasons. Scalability, the unit economics, ultimately the embedded protocol capability, the opcodes and the programmability of them. And I think when you really focus on the utility, you move past quite quickly the perceptions and the challenges of BSV. I think I've met a lot of banks and a lot of exchanges over the last few months. There was a really big, significant shift in financial services in particular. A lot of companies have trialed Ethereum, Cardano, Hyperledger, a lot of sandboxes, and ultimately they've bumped into the topics that we have been talking about here for a few years. So scalability does matter. There are topics ahead like interoperability. There are a lot of tokens. JP Morgan has launched the JP coin. They have a really big blockchain team. Citibank is all in. The forecast now, we're looking at up to 30 trillion dollars of assets that will be digitized over the next 7 to 10 years. Carbon credits are just one of them. So I guess what we're seeing is a maturity around what does the digital ledger do? What does a blockchain do? I think the utility has become more and more important. So it's moved into I would say a professional technology conversation. So it's really great.
Awesome. I love that. I think you were also on a panel where you were talking about ESG initiatives. So clearly this is an area that's very passionate to you. Tell me about some of the main points that you throw out there to the audience.
Yeah, good panel as well today. All my panels are good, I suppose, but no, on a serious note, it's a topic that ultimately BSV has inherently tackled, meaning the world understands Bitcoin often in journalism and in the public media through the lens of its energy footprint and its cost footprint. It's often quoted as the size of other countries and is a very hungry network. But of course, that's the BTC network. And that's, as a store of value, the utility value of that network is really poor. And the carbon footprint of that is exceptionally poor. BSV is already 98% more efficient than that network. And so today's panel was unpicking, well, what would be a fair unit of measurement of energy, CO2, and the appropriate utility. And in a collaboration with the Bitcoin Association and Smart Ledger, there is a launch of something called the webco2.net, which will be a dashboard destination site to compare those form factors, that methodology of how you look at the energy footprint and the utility factor of the BSV network versus other networks. So it's a really important step to bring some real transparency and apples for apples comparisons, not apples for oranges. So that was today. It was really good to get that out there.
Brilliant. Richard, love it. Love your work. Love having you here. Thank you so much for your time and for being very patient.
No problem.
With
Well
CoinGeek.
done, Becky. Amazing day. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Great to see you too, and thank you so much for watching. It's Becky Leggero for CoinGeek.com.
Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin wallet, blockchain, stablecoins, MetaNet, the evolution of money. Everybody is talking about Bitcoin today, but what exactly is it? Learn the basics from experts. Learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters. Bitcoin 101, your ultimate guide to the fundamentals of blockchain.